I'd like to hear Ozzy's third option.
Yeah, that was what was the third option? That was about the idealism versus physicalism. Okay. Um, Chris in the live chat was saying something like, okay, if I understand this correctly, with monism, you're either you're avoiding the problem of dualism by collapsing everything into mind and saying that the physical is an expression of the mind, or vice versa. You're going the other way. You're going a physicalist is someone who imagines that or posits that the mental is a product of what is ultimately physical. Everything either reduces to the physical or everything reduces to the mental. There is a third option. It's the option that I hold, and it's called neutral monism. It's the name of a position that is used to describe both the metaphysical position, which is what we're talking about here. It's also used to describe a position in the philosophy of mind with respect to the mind-body problem. And the idea is this: that if you let's look for the mind-body problem. There are features of our mental lives that we don't know how to reduce to the physical. We don't know how to reduce to the physical certain mental properties like subjectivity, consciousness, intentionality, and so forth. There are features that of our mental experiences that we simply don't know how to explain or reduce to in terms of the physical. We hope someday to do it, but so far we have not made any progress. No amount of looking in the brain and dissecting brains and looking at neurons allows us to figure out how the oatmeal texture stuff in your brain and all of its complexity produces the experience of redness, right? Or produces the capacity to think about the price of eggs in Brazil, or why there should be mental states, features of reality that are accessible only to the subject and not intersubjectively available, right? So we simply do not know how to ontologically reduce everything to the physical, okay? And I would argue that we don't know how to reduce all of our physical concepts to concept of mind, to idealism. So there's a third avenue, which is it was a view held by Bertrand Russell actually, called neutral monism. The idea is that, okay, there's still probably only one ontology. Okay, it's monistic. It's not a dualism. It's not physical and mental. But the idea is that everything that we see around us, whether it's mental or physical, is ultimately an expression of an underlying ontology, the nature of which we don't know, we don't understand yet. Now that sounds kind of wishy-washy, but the idea is this: our concept of the physical, as it's been delivered to us both through ordinary naive observation and through the physical sciences, doesn't seem to be capable, is not rich enough yet, doesn't contain the conceptual and explanatory resources yet to explain everything that we need to explain, for instance, mental phenomena. And our understanding of the mind and our concepts of the mind and our intentionalistic idioms and our mental vocabulary doesn't seem to be capable of reducing the physical to the mental either. But these seem to be real features of the world, right? I mean, if I decide to raise my arm goes up, right? I mean, that's not an illusion or epiphenomenon, right? That actually happens, right? There's such a thing as mental causation. And when I look around at the world, I have mental experiences. The world is somehow impinging on me, and it would appear to be, at least prima facie, on first appearances, the world is in fact causing me to have experiences. I mean, how a physical thing outside my mind can occasion a mental experience is a mystery. It's one of the things that's one of the mysteries that actually motivates idealism in the first place. How could something non-mental, a purely physical thing, occasion a mental experience, right? We just don't know how that could happen, right? Why would something out there that's of a certain frequency and wavelengths produce an experience of redness as opposed to the experience of greenness, right? So the idea is that our concepts of physical and mental are just raw and imperfect, and these are just clumsy ways of carving up reality. And the idea is that very likely underlying all of this is one ontology, and but we don't know what the currency is. It's like the mental and the physical are two sides of one coin, but neither the concept of the physical nor the concept of the mental is rich enough to explain how the mental and the physical relate to one another. And it also, this view is also sort of borne out by sort of queer phenomena that we find at the level of quantum events, right? Things like quantum entanglement and the two-slit experiment and the quantum eraser experiments. I mean, they're very, very queer things that hint that maybe the mind is involved in this. Okay, I'm not entirely convinced by those interpretations of those phenomena, but the point is, our understanding of the physical doesn't seem to be adequate to capture everything that we need to explain. But it's worse than that. It's not that we haven't gotten around to explaining it yet. We haven't a clue how to reduce intentionality, subjectivity, rationality, consciousness, first-person subjective ontology. We just don't know how to reduce any of these to the physical, or vice versa, the physical to those kinds of mental properties. And so, since these seem to be real features of the world, and since positing dualism just seems to leave us with intractable interaction problems, another way is that, well, actually, maybe there is just one monistic ontology, and mental and physical are just the ways that we have divided up what's going on here. But in fact, neither concept is a totalizing concept that can accommodate all of the phenomena. These are just pre-theoretical intuitions that we have, these mental idioms and these physical idioms, and no amount of science seems to be yielding any progress in the direction of resolving one to the other. So maybe what we should do is be neutral with respect to the ontology and not say everything has to reduce to the physical or everything reduces to the mental when we're not making any progress in that direction. So let's just be neutral monists. That's the idea of neutral monism.
I have a question on that. It does. Okay, so we still have the idea of one event causing another. If there are real things out there, we still have the idea that one causes the other. On neutral monism, if both the physical and the mental are brought about out of something that might be neither or something different, or something underlying it or whatever, would that undermine the idea that one thing is causing another thing to happen in the physical?
I'm not sure I understood the question. Can you run it by me again?
It would seem like, okay, so we have physical events that happen, and we sort of attribute the causation from one event to another. Does the idea that the physical is sort of emergent and the mental is sort of emergent out of some underlying thing, wouldn't that undermine?
Well, okay. Yeah, but emergent is sort of the wrong way of putting it, because it sounds like you've got a kind of phenomenon that sort of bubbles up out of something else, right? That there's some third thing. That you've got the mental, you've got physical things and mental things, and these things come out of some other. No, these are mental and physical, according to neutral monism, are not things. They're not a kind of stuff. You're not trying to reconcile a dualism. The idea is there's just one kind of stuff, but this kind of stuff expresses itself in two different ways. Okay, so here's an analogy that you could use. Think of the idea of the two-slit experiment. Okay, when you conduct the experiment and you set the experiment up one way with one slit, okay, the particles go through the slit, and you get a pattern that suggests that the particles are particles. That the beam that you're firing through there is composed of particles, discrete particles. Okay. Mm-hmm. When you have two slits, though, you get an interference pattern that suggests that this is a wave. Okay. So what did physicists say? Well, they said, well, look, under some circumstances, this beam expresses itself as either a particle or a wave. Never both at the same time, but it can't be both, because, right? But so, all that is to say that whatever this is, the concept particle and the concept wave is not adequate. So they came up with another word. It's a wavicle. Well, what the hell is a wavicle? Well, we don't know what a wavicle is. A wavicle is whatever this stuff is, it's a wavicle. It under some conditions it expresses itself as a wave, and under some conditions it expresses itself as a particle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe mental and physical are like that. Maybe there's one underlying ontology, right? One neutral monistic substance, okay? And it expresses itself differently, okay?
Yeah.
And so the mental and the physical are two expressions. These are just
Two aspects of the same.
two aspects of the one ontology. One doesn't cause the other, right? So you're not reducing causally reducing one to the other. Both reduce to something else, okay? But it's not like the mental and the physical are some kind of juice or substance that's squirted out by some underlying ontology, right?